Welcome to the Wisdom to Wealth podcast. This is the podcast where we interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world so they can share their journey from zero to wealth. I am your host, Shamara Star Cox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners create binge-worthy content in order to attract their customers and then attract their followers and convert their followers into customers online. I am also the founder of the Convert Content to Cash Challenge. So if you want to learn how to create content that sells in 5 days or less, feel free to comment or DM the word challenge accepted on Instagram, and I will personally send you an invite. Today we have Felicia Romero with us. She is a fitness entrepreneur, podcast host, speaker, and mentor to fitness coaches, helping them build their brand and business online through her new program, The Wealthy Wellness Coach. That is amazing. And I feel like it goes right in line with this podcast.
Yeah.
She is an 8-time fitness cover model, including Oxygen magazine, Muscle and Fitness, Hers and Flex magazine, has been featured in Fit to Fat, Fat to Fit, that aired on Lifetime. She opened up her first gym at 22 years old, and over the years has built and ran her gyms until 2 years ago when she sold Fit Method to create more time for herself. Thank you so much, Felicia, for joining us.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And girl, I'm so excited for us to get into your story. So tell us, take us on your journey from where you started to where you are now.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll kind of talk about the condensed version of where I started. So I kind of like to bring it back to a pivotal moment in my life where sort of like passion meets purpose. And I was in college. I was going to Arizona State, first to graduate in my family with a degree, actually first to family in to go to college or to like even pursue that. So it was a big deal for my family and especially my mom. But I sort of, kind of did the playbook, get good grades, go to school, do the thing, do what my family wanted me to do. And I was really pursuing something that I wasn't really passionate about. I was took my LSAT for law school. I was going down that road. I was also a Democratic intern at the House of Representatives. Like I was a poli-sci major. That's what I have my bachelor's in. And I was really going down that road. And I'm a big believer in nothing happens by accident. It really like part of your path or maybe even just fate. And I just happened to get involved in personal training. So the person I was with at the time was like, hey, you can make money while going to school. And I loved the body. I loved exercise. So I remember just starting a gym out of my garage when I was like 19, 20 years old. And I was going to school at the time. And it was really that pivotal moment where passion meets purpose. And I just fell in love with helping people. And it sort of was this catalyst for the next 20 years of my life, from competing on big stages to being able to do like cover model, like I was on Flex magazine, Oxygen, to traveling the world speaking about health and wellness, to opening up 3 more gyms after that, to selling my gym in 2018, to now being a new investor in a franchise in the gym industry again 8 years later. So it really has been this whirlwind, but I always believe that action creates momentum, which then creates opportunity. So the only way to really know if something is meant for you or not meant for you is to do the thing, right? And so that's really kind of the culmination of the last 20 years.
I love this. I love that you talked us through all the different types of transitions. I feel like I meet business owners where in their minds, and this is for some who are just starting out, in their minds, it's like, it has to be this one thing and that's it. If like, I need to know exactly what it is that I'm doing and I'll be doing this for the rest of my life. But for you, it wasn't like that. It was, well, this is where I'm going to start. And I'm just going to allow the winds of life to lead and guide me wherever I need to go. And because of that, you have been able to build this successful business. And now you're transitioning into your next soon to be successful business. And so I want to ask you, every time you were going through transition, how did you navigate any type of limiting belief or even any fear that popped up that try to tell you you shouldn't go down that path?
That's a great question, because I want to also preface this by saying that I've also had a lot of failures. literally 9 years ago, I had my car repossessed in front of my gym. Like I've had personal struggles, financial struggles, rock bottom moments. And that's not to say like I love talking about the highlight reels, but I also want to be real because there's so many business owners out there or people online on social media. I know you teach social media that are literally just seeing the highlight reels of someone's business. I'll give you a perfect example. I had a mentor. She's, made $7 million in less than 2 years. And she was teaching me how to build this high ticket funnel. And, when she came, she actually traveled to my house. We did a mastermind event where I had women come over and she was really open and transparent. She's like, yeah, on paper, my business is making millions of dollars, $500,000 months, but I'm also spending $80,000 in ads every month. And I'm paying my payroll. And at the end of the day, like there's not a lot left over for me. And I was like, wow, that's really transparent, really open. So I also, I just want to tell people out there that, there's a lot of highlight reels, there's a lot of success, but it also came with a lot of things that did not work out. So how I navigated the pivots, I want to say that, I was able to kind of go into the next thing, Nelly Willy, like, oh, this is so good. There's unicorns and rainbows and I'm ready to move on. But honestly, it came with a lot of, yes, like, am I going to be able to do this? Sometimes I would even resort back to what I knew only because I was afraid of the unknown. And that would happen for a little bit. Like when I started, when I was coaching in fitness and I was helping people with weight loss and body transformation, it wasn't my passion anymore. I got really tired of talking about macros, but I loved talking about mindset and essentially helping other entrepreneur women like me build a life of freedom. But I teetered for a little bit because as much as I wanted to dive into that world, the moment I started to pivot, I noticed also a dip in my income. Right. And so like that can also be really scary for a lot of business owners. So I'm going to be totally honest. I remember when I sold my gym and I was in a new relationship. I'm actually engaged to my high school sweetheart. We've been together now 8 years. So, at the time when we were together, like when we first got together, we had moved in together and I had sold the gym. I literally was depressed on the couch for probably a good 6 months after selling that gym with really just no direction on what is next for me. And I'm not shameful of that time. At the time I was like, when he would call me and he's like, hey, how's your day going? I'm like, I'm good. I'm just working away. Even though I was binging on the couch watching Netflix, right? I just needed that time to give myself a little bit of space to kind of figure out, knowing that I'm like a high achiever. I always want to figure out what's next. I also it's just as important to figure out yourself during those low seasons and take that time for yourself. And I'm going to be so honest. Like I was depressed for 6 months on the couch, Shamar. Like I was like, I don't know what is next. It came to me obviously, but I needed to give myself that time and grace.
Oh, I just love that you're talking about that because I think, well, the one thing you said that just like really hit home, I needed to understand myself even during the low moments.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes we try to avoid the low moments because we don't want to feel the emotions. We don't want to go through the emotions and we don't, it can make us feel like we're a loser or failure when we're in those emotions for too long too. But you allowed yourself 6 months in that space and learning yourself. And I just want to say thank you because that even helps me too. Yeah. Because I go through moments where I'm just like, oh man, like, is this even working? I don't even know if this is working. Like, I'm going to keep moving, but my emotions are in a space where I don't feel as confident. And so I like that you talked about that because we are going to go through ups and downs and dips and turns. Like that's what entrepreneurship, that's what life is. Like,
100%. Have you read the book, The Gap and the Gain?
Yes, girl, I had to read it in 2024. I had to read it because of what I was going through.
Yeah. So exactly. So like right now, again, give yourself grace if you are going through a pivot season, you're going through a gap season where you're really just trying to figure out your next moves. Now, I want to say like wherever you start, you're not starting over. You are starting with experience, right? So, and even if you are starting from ground zero, like if you're just starting your business, you probably can find evidence in your life where you have been successful in other facets, maybe not business, but maybe like you've been really great about building solid friendships and relationships. Maybe you have, done really well with your health and wellness. Maybe you're a super disciplined person and you have like your house on lock, like you just have everything with systems and processes. And so I want you to like look at other areas of your life where you have found success and you have done things even if you can't find that within business, but you can find it in other areas of your life. So I think it's really important to remind yourself of that.
Yeah, and that's a really good tool. Like I remember when I first started my business coach, she gave us this tip. She said, I want you to create a brag bank where you just write down everything that you've done. And like you said, it doesn't have to be just business. It can be everything in your life. And when you see your accomplishments, it does boost your spirit. So let me ask you that. Other than that, entrepreneurship is not easy, of course, but how do you navigate any types of negative mindsets that might start coming up? If you've ever heard the voice that said to you, you're never going to make it, it's never going to work out. How are you able to navigate that? Like, do you have any specific tools that you use to help?
That is a great question. And I want to just tell you, like, you are not meant to do.
I think we lost you. Are you still there? It was just getting so good. We're going to give it just a little bit of time. Looks like Felicia's frozen just a little bit.
Let me see.
Oh,
Can you
there
hear
you
me?
go. I can hear. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
You froze at a cliffhanger.
I know. Oh my gosh. People are going to be like, what did she say? Oh my gosh.
You were saying you were not meant to do, and then you cut off.
Yes. Okay. You are not meant to do life and business alone. Right. And so those aren't my words. I learned that from a woman who is a great mentor of mine, Lindsay Schwartz. She created the Powerhouse Women event. I went to some of her retreats, and that is so true. And so one of the things that has really helped me is surrounding myself with evidence that the success that I look for, and not just financial, even like home life, relationships, strong, in faith and love and all the things. Like, it's looking for evidence with those people in your life who are doing it, and surrounding yourself with those people. So number one, community is everything. The reason why I feel like a lot of people, especially, women, I know I work with a lot of women, get stuck is because they're in our own heads and we're sitting at home alone trying to figure it out. Right? Maybe you're afraid to ask for help. Maybe you're afraid to like make the investment in a mentorship or community. And so number one, community has been so pivotal for me in my success and getting to the next milestone or the next thing a lot faster. Right? So like, as you're a cheat code. You're a cheat code for marketing, for people who want to learn how to do social media or how to want to show up or how to build 6 and 7 figure business because you've done it. So you're that cheat code for that person who maybe can just learn the steps a little bit faster and not figure it out on your own, right? So community is everything, Shamara. Another thing that's super helpful for me is really being in my body. So I think, one of the things that I feel a lot of us, I know when I was like really like in my masculine energy, and when I say masculine, feminine, I'm not necessarily talking about gender stereotypes. It's more of a way of being and thinking. And so masculine was like the doing. You're constantly doing, what's the next thing, checking off the to-do list, checking off like, oh, I did this, I did that, I did this. The feminine is the way of being. And so like when we can get into our bodies a little bit more and we're not so much in our heads causing a lot of the rapid thoughts or the anxiousness or even a dysregulated nervous system, the more we can take a deep breath, the more we can step outside and be in the sun, take a walk, take a break, be with yourself, the more you realize like we have all the power within us. Right. And so it's only when I've been out of my body and more into the state of like, do, go, and not really connected with myself and that feminine side of me is when I've burnt out, is when I've kind of swayed off of track, or when I got into those limiting beliefs and it sort of created this like sabotage behavior or this vicious cycle of catastrophizing thoughts, right? And so it's really important to surround yourself with people who are going where you want to go, not where you currently are. And now, again, if you have friendships, that's great. Like, keep friendships that you love and that are sacred. But I also think it's important to create a community going where you're going. So creating a community going based on where you want to be. And that is so important. And being in your body. So slowing down a little bit more, taking that time to breathe, regulating your nervous system, being with yourself is really, really important.
Oh, these tips are just so amazing. This is what I was seeing when you were talking about it. Community allows you to be around other people, right? Like getting outside of yourself, and
Mhm.
then being one with self allows you to be inside of yourself, be in alignment, and both are needed. Like we shouldn't be in a space of, I only want to be around people, because you
Yeah,
still also need to be within yourself too. And then you don't want to be in a space of just me and that's it, because that can be self sabotaging as well. So I
yeah,
love that you talked about the balance of having both. And
yeah,
one of my favorite things that you said was being with people who are where you want to be,
yeah.
right? That
Mhm.
I am such a big I believe that so much. I remember when I was first starting my business, I surrounded myself with people who were at six figures already,
Yeah.
because I understood I need to get their mindset, what their habits are like. Like I wanted to understand their behavior, what their conversations are like, what's the language that they use, how are they with themselves, what's their what it is that they are going through.
Mhm.
And because I did that, I actually hit six figures in my business the following year.
Yeah,
And then after hitting six figures, I said, okay, well, now I need to be around people who hit multiple six figures. So I
yeah.
started filling my circle up with that, and will continue to do that. So it really is a good strategy. I love
Mhm.
that you talked about that. It's so powerful. So let's switch gears a little bit, right? Like we talked about you and your journey. Talk to us about how you help your clients with their business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a different types of clients with different types of businesses. I tend to attract the fitness coach or wellness coach. As of recent, I started attracting like gym owners and franchise owners just with some of the things that I share. But
Oh my goodness, Felicia keeps freezing at the best parts.
oh my gosh,
Oh, you froze
so
again.
weird. I don't know. I understand what I don't know why I keep freezing. We have a
Yeah.
strong cell signal on this side of the house. So interesting.
Yeah, so weird. Okay, you
Uh,
left off at, okay, you were tracked, gym owners, franchise owners, wellness, and then you said but, and that's
yeah.
where you froze.
Yeah, yes, I attract all of the wellness, the fitness. I think because it's my background, but I've helped all different types of businesses. What I really specialize in is how to build a brand and business online, right? So those who really want to shine online and build using that brand awareness online. So a lot of what I do and what I teach is truly the authenticity behind why we do what we do. So I think authenticity is such a powerful thing, but I'm also a strategy girl. So I intertwine the strategy part of business because we need sales systems, we need processes, we need the foundations of, lead magnets and conversion and sales systems, but we also have to know how to manage our energy in order to attract that. Because I do think a lot of people are sort of in this autopilot online, like let's post and do the thing. And they're sort of not connected to the content. So they're wondering why they are not attracting the right clients, or they're wondering why, like, okay, why am I not selling using the online space? And it's because, well, number one, you probably put all of your eggs in one basket, and number two, your energy isn't aligned with the type of content and people that you want to attract. And so there's that intertwining. So a lot of the retreats that I host retreats called Six Figure Circles, and it intertwines the masculine and the feminine. So I'll give you an example of how this weekend goes. The first day is the feminine day. So we go inward. We kind of break free the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. A lot of aha moments of like, oh, okay, this is what I was doing. I was fearful of success, or I was fearful of this, or I was afraid of being seen. So we break that open through different modalities like breath work, sound healing, somatic movement, a lot of journaling, a lot of deep work is done on that first day. And then the second day, we get into the masculine. So we start to set up systems. We figure out what it is that, who you help, how you help them, and what offer you want to create. We get into social media and sales systems and really kind of getting that foundation of what you want to build. Most of the women that come in my world have already hit that six figures. They're in that low six figures, but they're sort of stuck. And usually the reason why we're stuck is a lot of times we forget that, what got us here will not get us there, right? But we also forget a lot of the just basic things when it comes to sales and systems that we think that we need something new or different, right? And it's like, hello, you can't stop doing the thing that you know that works, right? And so I think a lot of those people who are stuck, it's not a strategy thing and it's not their next best funnel. There's usually something going on inside of them that is not allowing them to hit those next levels. And that is why it's so important that, you know, again, strategy is so important. But if you've been stuck for a little bit and you've done all the strategy, there is something deeper going on that we need to work on inside of you.
Girl, I'm just over here like, we can take this conversation so many different ways. That is so true. I remember last year, my goal was to scale my business to a certain number. Girl, I tried so many strategies. I tried all the strategies. You name it, I tried it. It did not work. It just, and it frustrated me. It made me so angry. So coming into 2025, I was like, I don't even know if any of this is going to work, because the reality is strategies, like a lot of them, they do work. Most of them work, right?
Yes.
But it's the internal, like
Yeah.
you're out of alignment. There's something inside of you that's hindering you from really attracting what you should be attracting.
Yeah.
And you said this, and I would love for you to go deeper on this. What got you here is not what's going to get you there.
Yeah.
Right. And I would love for you to talk about that, even if it has to do with a mindset shift on how to get to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great question. I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, I knew that I had these aspirations to create a 7-figure business. I did not hit it in that year, but I had a powerful, powerful lesson. And I remember, like, you know, hiring this coach. So a lot of the things that I was doing, the investments I was making from a place of, this is what a 7-figure coach would do. This is what a person who was making this amount of money would carry herself. This is what she would do. This is how she would invest in her business. This is what she would sell. And I started doing all of those things. Okay, Shamara, like, I hired the videographer. I had a new business. I had my whole website revamped. I created a new high ticket offer, like all the things. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to, so this is twofold. Like, what got you here is not going to get you there, but also leaning into the things that really worked for me in my business. I started to forget. I started to not do those things anymore. And again, this kind of intertwines both of these lessons. So I did a whole new offer, whole new strategy. I had a mini course. I was launching. I did the thing. This is the first time that I actually paid for paid ads. Like, I was all out. I was like, this is going to be the year. I'm doing 7 figures. And it was, you know, I launched my mini course, my masterclass, tons of people showed up live. I got a handful of sales. So then I knew, okay, this works. And it was high ticket. It was over $5,000 price point, right? So it sold during my masterclass. So then I knew I had proof and evidence that people want to buy this thing. So then I took my masterclass mini course and I turned it evergreen, and I put ads to that mini course. So it was a lead generation that basically took people to my mini course to watch. Well, the first, 20, 25 days, crickets. People were signing up for the mini course. Like, they were actually, like, you know, it's like signing up to watch. No conversions, 0 conversions on any cold leads that I had. And I had already at this point invested probably 30,000 from a mentorship to all the different things, videographer, photography, website. And I was like, oh my gosh, nothing is converting. What is happening? And, you know, I had a lot of warm leads. Again, when I say leads, these are human hearts. And, you know, these are people that I have chatted with on Instagram, that have worked with me before, that were reinvesting or whatever. But none of my ads were working. And I remember just feeling so defeated. Like, I need to give up. Like, what is happening? Like, I can't do this. But I also was very, I had these emotions that would run through me. Like, I wasn't good enough. What is happening? This product isn't good. And I remember going to a retreat, again, why power of community is so important. And someone said something so pivotal. I mean, long story short, I'll tell you what this woman said, but long story short, I had to release any emotion that I had towards what I was feeling. And this is why we need to go into business with very neutral feelings. Like, go into everything as data and trial and error. And so I remember, as I picked up my ego and looking at everything, I was like, okay, Felicia, go into Go into the videos, go into, all of your conversions, what is happening. And it turns out people were signing up. I was building my email list, but they were signing up to watch the mini course, but they would stop watching at about 20 minutes. My mini course was an hour long. I didn't get to the sales pitch till the very end. So no one saw the sales pitch. They would pop off, drop off. It was boring. It wasn't good enough. Live, it's great. I'm great live. Live masterclass, all the energy, people are there. The recording, not so much. So I had to be honest with myself. Okay, Felicia, I could either give up right now, or I could redo this mini course, refilm it 20 minutes long, revamp the funnel, and go at it. Well, long story short, in 45 days, I ended up having over $100,000 launch. And I was so proud of myself for letting go of the emotion and really kind of creating this neutrality towards the numbers in business, because at the end of the day, success is really a numbers game. And success is also how we handle the obstacles, right? And that's what creates resiliency. So I had to learn to like dig into myself and sort of change my perspective on this. Then I remember when I went to a retreat and I shared this story, and I want to say this, I have such a grateful heart. I had a great launch. The students, I ended up, almost 80 students went through that program over the last 3 years. And it was such a great program. But I remember talking about this at a retreat where I actually felt like the little fish, all of these women in there making millions and millions of dollars. And I was like so excited about my $100,000 launch. And I remember just being so devastated. She's like, Felicia, this is such a powerful lesson that, instead of looking at it like you have to convert every single person that comes through, this is a great lead gen. You built your email list, right? And so like, sometimes we just need different changes in perspective. Sometimes we just need to like look at it as data and have a neutral feelings towards it. And that's really what business is at the end of the day. And if you can create that resiliency inside of you and you can build up that neutral mindset towards business, and just know that you will be successful no matter what you do, you will be successful. Like the odds will be in your favor the more that you can continue to show up. And so that was a really powerful lesson at that time, to not only tell myself like, yes, what got you here won't get you there, but also don't leave behind all of the things that have allowed you to be successful to this point. Because a lot of us start to let go of the simple things like, who do you help, right? You might know who you help. Like I can talk about that right now. Like, who is it that you help? But every couple months, it's probably really good to revisit that person. What are their passions? What are their desires? Where do they want to be? What's their obstacle? What's keeping them stuck? And we have to remind ourselves that we sometimes just need to ask ourselves those simple questions. I was in a room with a ton of, high achievers, like a Jasmine Star and all of these women. And we were all chatting, and they still do the basic things. Like every 3 months, they go back to the drawing board. Who is our avatar? How do I help him or her? How do I help them overcome this? What is their struggle? And that is so basic, but the people who are still making the 7, 8, 9 figures are still asking themselves those questions. And I think it's important to, remember that.
And I love that, because even though they have a team, they're not like, well, I'm just going to defer to my team. You guys figure it out. Like they're still very much involved. So I think that's powerful. But
Yeah.
I really liked when you talked about releasing these emotions. Like you had a goal that you wanted to hit. You weren't hitting that goal. And so because of that, you probably was frustrated, and any type of negative emotion that may have been jamming you up. Once you released it, you were able to come up with the solution. Let me actually see what's going on.
Yeah.
And when you looked at the analytics, you were able to see, wait a second, they're dropping off here. Sometimes when we're going through these things, we start to think it's us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good. Like you said, you had the voices that was coming. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. They don't like me. And it has nothing to do with that, and everything to do with this video was just too long. They weren't getting to the pitch.
Yeah, they weren't getting it. And I just needed to like be smarter, make it a little bit more desirable, shorten it. And yeah, it's such a powerful reminder that, and I think that's one of the 5 agreements is like, don't take things personal and don't assume. I think the more that we can live in that place, and I know you probably deal with this on social media and helping people on social, like, don't take things personal. Like, it's one of those things, like, you just put it out on the internet and you can't assume that people know who you are.
So good. Oh, I just love it. Your journey is amazing. I love all the transitions that you've gone through. I love the mindset shifts that you made as well, because that's what makes someone a successful and wealthy business owner,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you do not have this type of resiliency, anytime you're met with adversity, you're going to quit. So
Yeah.
I love that you just kept going. And because of that, you can help so many other coaches who are in wellness, fitness, and just who has a business. You can help so many of them. And so
Yeah.
I want to, oh, did you want to say something before I ask
I
you?
want to share something really quickly back to like the resiliency and the continuing to go. And you mentioned something a little earlier where you're like, all the strategies work, right? All the strategies work. Which one is best for you? And which one, are you going to stick with? And I love equating things back to and using different analogies to kind of make it really clear in how this works. So I tend to always equate things back to like wellness or fitness, but this is going to make sense for people who are listening. When we look at like meal plans and diets, and like right now it's New Year's resolutions, and there are so many different facets to go down, different gyms to join, different types of workouts and different types of meal plans to jump onto, and they all work. They all work. You can jump on any one of them. They will work for you. But there is a difference when we enter that. And this is why I love intertwining the masculine and the feminine. So the masculine is like, okay, how many times a week do I need to work out? And what do I need to eat? And what do I need to do in order to release weight or transform my body? And, the being is so important, because you have person A, person B. Person A, they want to lose weight because they are, they're fearful of gaining weight. They hate their body. They don't like who they are. And they have this really like desperate type energy going towards their wellness and fitness. But the first moment of an obstacle, these are also probably the ones that are going to stop or quit on themselves or their New Year's resolution. Then you have person B, who wants to lose weight because she loves herself or himself, because she sees wellness as the key to thriving and feeling good and productivity. She knows she values her life. She respects herself. She wants to feel better for her family. Like, that's two different energies, right? From I hate my body I want to lose weight because I'm tired of feeling this way, to I love my body and I know I need to do this for me. Those are two different energies going into the strategy. And so that's why, if we were to take that into business and your career, same thing with, there's a desperate scarcity energy, and then there's the abundant energy, right? And so like, if you can choose a strategy that works for you, that feels good for you, but also approach it from an abundant mindset versus scarcity, you are going to go so much further. And that is the key. That is the golden ticket, because that's where people get stuck. So when I say you're stuck because you probably don't need the next best strategy. You need to work on your abundant mindset and where you want to be versus the scarcity desperation mode. Now, again, I've been there, and you've probably been there too, Shamar. Like, I have had $100 in my bank account thinking, how am I going to make next month's rent? So I'm not negating the fact that there are people who are struggling, who are suffering, but we can choose how we suffer, and we can choose how our mindset is and how we want to move forward when we're in that space, right? And I'm telling you, when you are in that abundant mind space, and mind in that space, you are going to attract so much more. And so, and that is the ticket, that is the key. And so it's just getting there.
If I could burp, I would, because I'm so full off of everything you just shared just now. And you put a couple of things into perspective for me, but it was going down the route of when you started talking about the abundance, right? Because oftentimes when we're starting out, or some business owners are starting out, well, let me just talk about myself. When I first started out, I had a poverty mindset, I had a money block, and I operated from a scarcity energy. Like, that's how I operated. And I still, even last year, was doing it too. So it didn't matter what strategies I was working. My energy was saying, "There's not enough. I'm never going to." Right, and whether we believe it or not, we really do end up repelling. And we also start making decisions that continue to reaffirm this scarcity. But
Mhm.
we do have to shift into an abundance. And so this year, that is my main focus. I'm like, I need to see abundance from the lens of God. Like, that's what I want to do. I remember the couple of years ago, I had made $30,000 in my business. Like, and this was my second year in business. So I made $30,000 in my business in the first 3 months of the year. I was excited because the year prior, I made 21,000 in the entire year. So the fact that I made 30K, I was like, oh, this is great. But as soon as the last money hit my account, I remember hearing a voice saying, like, you're not going to get another client. You're not going to be able to do that again. And that fear, it crippled me.
Mhm.
That in April, we didn't hit like a high number. But in May, we probably were like halfway through May when I realized we're not hitting our numbers. Like, we didn't even barely bring in any clients that day
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that month. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to go to my mirror and I'm going to declare that I'm bringing in my next $1,000 client. Like, that's what I said. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And I remember going to the mirror and I opened my mouth. And what came out was I released this scarcity energy and I receive abundance in what heaven has for me. That same day, I booked my next 5K client. Right after that, made $6,500. I was just like, oh no, you froze again. I just realized you froze again. Oh, there you go, you're back. Yeah. So right after, so instead of making $1,000, I was able to have a 12K month that month, all because I released the scarcity and I allowed but abundance to come in. And if I remained in the scarcity, I would have been just trying to make $1,000 just
Yeah.
because. But when I released it, I was able to actually hit a 12K month. And so I
Mhm.
really love what you're talking about. It really is true if we start operating from this energy of abundance. So I love
Mhm.
that. So let me ask you this final question.
Yeah.
For those who are listening, how can they work with you if they're interested in joining a program with you or joining your retreat? How can they work with you?
Oh, this is a great question. Thank you. I host retreats twice a year now called the Six Figure Circle here in Phoenix, Arizona. I actually host it out of my home. This was one of my manifestations this last year, or actually when we built this house in 2019, was like, I want to host events here. And we manifested this beautiful space. So I host it here out of my home. Typically it's anywhere from 15 to 20 women. And so that's happening this spring. You can just go to my website, FeliciaRomero.com, and you'll see all the information there. I also have a new course I'm going to be dropping. It'll be a hands-off course, but you'll still have access to me, called the 10K Accelerator. And I can send you all of that information, Shamara. But yeah, it's your path to your first $10,000 month. And it's specifically for wellness and fitness coaches. It is very niche specific in a lot of the examples and the things that I teach in there. And yeah, so right now, those are the two ways that you can work with me.
I love it. And I just dropped Felicia's link inside the chat. It's displayed on the screen as well. You also have it on Instagram, so you can just copy and paste it for yourself. We'll also put it in the description for those of you who are going to tune into the replay so that you can always get access to it. Felicia, you are such a blessing. I love your energy. I love how you talk about masculine versus feminine. I can see it in my life. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be very aware of each time I'm shifting into it. But I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you for joining us today. Thank you for dropping your wisdom today. And thank you to all of you who were able to join us and tune in. I hope that Felicia's story was able to bless you. Everyone, have a wonderful day.